Greetings and welcome to the Stoic Gamer podcast. My name's Michael Bolton. In this podcast, I talk to players at all different levels of the hobby about their experience going to competitive events, whether it's their first time or whether they're a seasoned old timer like myself. I discuss the events we're going to, I discuss the events we've been to, and I talk about everything from army building, rules queries, happenings on the table to hotel disasters and culinary and gastronomic accidents, all part of the hobby and all part of visiting different parts of the country and the world as part of our fantastic 40k hobby. If you like this kind of content and you want to hear more, please let me know. If it's on YouTube, please just leave something in the comments. I'll always get back to you if I can. And if you're listening on any other kind of platform such as Spotify, do leave me a message. I can get back. It's been a while. Christmas, New Year, and a cheeky little trip to Barcelona for me and Mrs. Bolton has put a little bit of a crimp in my podcasting. But nevertheless, I'm back. Today, I'm going to talk to Alex about a weekend we've just had, the first weekend of 2024, with a couple of chums at Alex's house, where we've been playing 40k and deciding what we're going to do for the rest of the year, or at least the first 6 months of 2024, tournament-wise. We had some good fun rolling some dice. We had some chats. We discussed a little bit about what real life does and gets in the way of doing what we really, really want to do. And then we talk about our lists that we're going to be using at some of those events up until July of this year. So, if you want to hear about what four middle-aged men get up to staying at a friend's house when his wife's away, listen on. All right, Alex, it was a fantastic weekend at your place with the four of us. There was you, Neil, myself and Craig, and we spent a couple of nights and 3 days playing 40k. Why did we do it? What was it all about, Alex? Just remind our listener why we got together. I can't think of any reasons really why we got together, but you tell us why you think we got together. Speak, Alex.
I'm here. Yes. So the whole reason for the get together at the weekend, well, there's multiple reasons, aren't there? Really, I suppose the first one is we're not a traditional club, in that we don't meet as a group of mates every Wednesday evening or whatever. So sort of coming together for a weekend is our only opportunity to see each other, really. The Nottingham event that we'd normally probably do, I was unable to do. And we kind of do events together, so we kind of scratched that.
Now, the Nottingham event was this weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah, but obviously I've got the kids because Natalie's away for her 40th, so otherwise
the Nottingham event we've been to the last couple of years, haven't we? And that was this weekend, the 13th and 14th of January.
Yeah, it's going on now, isn't it?
It is. I've been following some of my my chums there, and I keep saying, Go on, keep going. My Necron fan base. Both of them.
You don't have any chums, do you?
Well, other than you guys, no, I don't. But yeah, you know Mark Crumblehome, friend of the channel, he's been on here a couple of times.
Yeah.
He won the first two yesterday with his Necron list, and then lost the third one by 1 point. So he's feeling a little bit. He's got to. Well, let's hope he wins.
Pick himself up, man.
Yeah, I know. So it was a bit of a downer. Anyway, sorry. So we're at your house last weekend instead, playing a few games.
Yeah. For multiple reasons, and also, of course, Diane's away. So what better opportunity than to get the boys round and play some games, play some toy soldiers, drink some beer,
and fill the recycling bins.
Yeah. I hope they get emptied.
Yeah, so we all turned up Thursday or Friday, and I remember I took a couple of Necron lists. I took a Hypercrypt Legion list and a list that I'm going to talk about in a minute. But the Hypercrypt Legion list, for those who don't know, is the list a bit like Grey Knights that allows a Necron player to remove 3 units from the table at the end of the opponent's turn, and then put them into strategic reserve and then bring them on again in your following turn. It's very powerful. I mean, you use that kind of thing a lot with your Death Watch, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. It's good. It's really good ability. Is that so? That's your singles competitive basis list, isn't
Well, it was, but I might have changed it now
it?
because,
No.
well, I played the first game I played Craig Zaldari. He had a couple of fire prisms, the obligatory Incarn, Avatar. What else did he have? Wave Serpents with some of the
Race
Wraithy
guard.
Wraith Guard in, and some with guns, some
Yeah.
with choppers. And then he had the Night Spinner. So it was pretty shooty, and I discovered that despite having giving it a 4-up invulnerable save, my monolith died to shooting from the fire prisms in one turn.
Yeah, they'll do that. Flat six damage, aren't they?
Yeah, but
That's a
flat six
big
damage.
problem.
But he had to hit, wound, and I had to fail all my 4-up invulnerables for 4 shots for him to get 24 wounds through, and I did.
Is that what happened?
Yeah,
Oh dear.
yeah. So yeah, that didn't go
Oh dear.
very well at all. And of course, he's able to use his fate dice. So I think he'd use his fate dice to make sure he hit, make sure he wounded, but more or less all the time. So I had to make at least one of those 4-up saves, and I didn't make any of them. So unhappy days for me. I also discovered, using the Hypercrypt Legion, that none of the strats, and I'm sure that if there's any Necron players out there, they'll empathise with this. None of the strats or enhancements actually really give you any more punch. So you're really still lacking punch in that Hypercrypt Legion list, especially now that Games Workshop have nerfed the devastating wounds on immortals, because before you could take an enhancement that allowed you to reroll all your hits when you arrived from strategic reserve. You could do that with your immortals and get devastating wounds, rerolling hits, rerolling wounds, and it was quite good. But now you're just getting strength 5 minus 0 AP, 1 damage shots. So you're gonna make them take some saves, but it's not going to be as devastating, excuse the pun, as it was before.
I see what you did there.
Yeah. What else did I learn about the Hypercrypt Legion? So the Hypercrypt Legion, I think it's one of those that takes a lot of skill to play, and frankly, I don't think I got it. So it's a good list, but it takes some playing. What did you use in your first game?
Yeah. Well, I suppose my first game was Friday morning, wasn't it? Which was against Neil. So I used my. What did I use? Gosh, I've drunk a lot since then.
Yeah, we all have. Yeah.
I used. I used the list John Lennon used at the recent best of the best of the best competition that he went all the way to the final with. So it was Ultramarines in a Vanguard detachment, and
Did
I
you
think
go
Neil
all the
wanted
way?
to try it out.
Did you go all the way
I
to?
I I beat Neil.
Oh, that's good.
Does that count?
Yeah. He was using what, Death Guard again?
He was using his I should know. No, it wasn't his Death Card. It was demons, I think. Yeah, it was
Ah.
demons. Pretty sure it was demons.
What
Yeah,
do
it
you
was
think?
demons. 'Cause
What?
Chilaxi. That's
Yeah.
demonic,
What
isn't
did
it?
you think of the list then?
John's list. I liked it. I mean, no surprise. It's similar to the Death Watch. It's got the jumpy. It's got
Mm.
the aggressors, which do a lot of work. It's good. I like it. It felt a little bit, maybe a touch less maneuverable than the Death Watch, but had other benefits to make up for it.
Yeah.
The -1 hit and benefit of cover if you're outside 12 is nice. And there's a strat where you can give a unit shooting from outside 12 +1 ballistic skill and some other benefit to it as well, which is nice. So yeah, it's good. It's good. Just not sure if I want to play Ultramarines. That's all.
Yeah. No, I get that, and I think you can get a lot of that with Death Watch, and you're familiar with those anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, and Deathwatch have other. It's interesting. There's a chat on the Art of War Discord in the Deathwatch section, and it's all very Debbie Downer on them at the moment. It's like,
Mm.
oh, they're not as good as Marines, they're not as, all this sort of stuff. I'm like, oh, I think they're actually still pretty good. I think the problem with Death Watch is you don't take any Death Watch units, so it's
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Just take the Death Watch faction rules, but don't take any Death Watch unit.
exactly. I mean, I don't have a single Death Watch unit in my list anymore, and that's because they're either overpriced or underpowered or
Yeah.
a combination of the two. So I suppose if people are talking about Death Watch in terms of pure Death Watch, then yeah, they're not, they don't cut the mustard. But I think their detachment and abilities kind of stack up.
Mm.
Maybe Vanguard might be 5% better, maybe, but I mean, the likes of us at a tournament, are you going to notice that?
Well,
No.
that brings us on to the discussion we had over an Indian on that Friday night when we were talking about what we were going to use the following day. We were also discussing, dear listener, what events we would go to, and one of the ones we've already booked in for, we're already going to do, was the international team tournament in Birmingham at the end of May. So, unlike most clubs who have people clamouring to be in their team because they want to be representing their team, we're a bit desperate. We have to scrape around to get anybody who's willing to come. But luckily,
Yeah, pretty much.
yeah, I know what it's like.
It's a good summary.
But luckily, we've got our five now, haven't we? There's
We
going to
have.
be you with. Are you taking Death Watch? Is that the deal?
Yeah.
Death Watch. Steve will be taking. What's he taking? Can you remember?
Chaos Knights, I think.
Chaos Knights. That's
Oh
right.
no, he's not taking Chaos Knights, is he? Because Neil's poached a Chaos Knight, so he's taking Chaos Marines.
Yeah, could be. And then we've got Craig with Eldari,
Hmm.
Neil with Death Guard still,
Yeah, with plus Knights.
plus
So
those
that's why
extra
Steve can't take
knights.
the Knights.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I'm taking Necrons. And so we thought, over a drunken Indian, we thought, well, what could we do? We know that going to the ITT, we're not going to win the competition. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, we're not going to win it. I would suggest that we were probably aiming to win two, and so the discussion was, how do we win three rather than two? Because that would be a glorious victory for us. So we sat around, and the consensus was, well, why don't we all take armies that are more or less themed the same? And we came down to, why don't we all take armies that are either monsters or vehicles? That way, enemy teams that have geared up, let's say, two of their armies to deal with monsters and vehicles, yeah, we'll lose those. But the others, we've got a good chance of either scraping a draw or winning. And that is that the general gist of the plan.
That is the general gist of the plan. Yes.
Right, so the following day, we turn up, we wake up, we have some kind of breakfast creation that Alex knocked together in a pan, and then we start our game. So we all now get out our monster come vehicle lists on the grounds that we could just overwhelm another team. You know, they're not going to be geared up for all of this. And what did you use in the first one? Oh, you used all your unpainted grey tanks, didn't you?
Yes, one of the realizations I had when I got my list, my Iron Storm Space Marine list was just how much painting I'd have to do. Because I'm an infantry guy, right? Yeah. The occasional dreadnought will make its way into my list, and maybe a whirlwind, but I'm a foot slogger.
Yeah.
So I've got loads of tanks because apparently I have issues with buying stuff and just not using it or painting it. But that's a separate thread, possibly for
We
therapy.
should have another. We should have a podcast about how many boxes of unopened and cellophane wrapped boxes you have in your cupboard.
Yes, I might find a local group and join it. I have a problem.
My name is Alec West, and I'm a crack addict.
Yeah, I'm addicted to plastic. Yes. Yes, quite. I have all the vehicles to make a tank army, and I think maybe one of them was painted, and that was probably painted by Ian. So
Yeah,
a
I
lot
mean,
of painting to do.
I looked across, and you had a parking garage on your table. I've never seen so
Yeah.
many tanks in one place.
Well, yes, I did when I deployed, and then by the end of turn three, when I was playing Craig's Eldar, and I'm not sure Craig will have an easier game, easier game for a long time because it was like fish in a barrel for him. He's like, yeah, fire prison, that one's dead. Fire prison, that one's dead. Okay, the
Yeah,
avatars killed that.
yeah,
Oh, the bikes have killed that. The wraith guard. Okay, your turn. Right, that's four of my tanks gone.
yeah. No, no, I get it. And the
It was
Incarn's
not
no
pretty.
slouch either, is he?
Well, he didn't even have the Incarn in the version I played against, so it would only have got worse for me, I think.
So not a
So
happy experience.
no, I got the word we're looking for is pumped. Uh, so it was not a solid start. Yeah,
Yeah, well, what did I can't remember who I played first, but it must have been Neil with his Death Guard.
yeah, it would have been.
And I
Or his
think we got
demons.
80-80. We drew at 80 all.
Oh, you did, didn't you? Yeah,
Yeah, that was a great
yeah.
game. Really great game. But this was the one when I was using all my vehicles. So I had two Catans, I had the Silent King, I had the little Annihilation, two Annihilation barges, two Triarch Stalkers. What else did I have? Oh, two of those Doomsday, what they call Canoptic Doom Stalkers. And I was playing the Canoptic Court, which means Canoptic units get to re-roll everything if they're in the power matrix.
The
And
power matrix. That
that
sounds
was
cool.
power. Let me say that again. Power matrix. That
You should
was
do
great.
voiceovers for.
Well, I'm just practicing for my new career as a voiceover artist. That's all.
Excellent.
Thank you. So yeah, it went all right. That was a good game, and I began to quite like the Necron sort of skew list because actually it's not too bad against anything. And then who was it? It was Neil over lunch. He said, "Well, why don't you fiddle around and put another Catan in it because they're really, really good." So I did,
I think we're
and
trying to get you up to six, aren't we? That's the idea.
got you can have six. I've only got three. And in fact,
Oh,
I am going to be taking, for anybody who's listening, I'm going to be taking this list to Battlefield Birmingham one day event on the 3rd of February, which is going to be, I might get absolutely hammered. But the plan is everything in it, except for one unit that just sneaks onto an objective and tries to keep its head down, has got a 4-up invulnerable save, everybody's vehicles, so they're all toughness 8, 9, some of them higher, or they're Catans with halving rerolls. And the deal is just don't die. So it's what Alex likes to refer to this as is the 4-up slot machine. If I roll fours, I'm invincible. If I can't roll fours, then it's all over by turn 3. But that's about the size of it. So I'm going to be using that.
yeah.
Now, we also decided, didn't we, at the end of Saturday, that maybe you wouldn't be able to paint all those tanks by May.
Yes. There's no maybe about it.
So we decided that you should have a go with your other army, which is a monster Tyrannid list.
Yeah, I get the Tyranids out.
Talk
Freshly
us through that
painted.
one. Talk us what's in the list and who are you fighting, and tell us how it went.
It was really good, really good. So I played Neil, and yeah, I had a whole bunch of Carfexes and two Hive Tyrants and a Tyrannofex and I had to squeeze in the Brenda the Harpy.
Yeah, you got to have her. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, that went. Well, if you thought the first game went badly, the second game, I think I was tabled by turn 3. I don't mind about having a few remnants left. I was just gone.
You
Um,
you need to tell everybody what Neil's list consists of because it's quite unusual.
oh,
It's well, you tell everybody what was in it because that's the what this is similar to the list that I fought the previous day and when we drew, but it had more shooting than you can shake a stick at. So against your
yeah.
monster
What do
list,
you have? Three predators. two knights,
Two
two
of
hell
the
brutes,
yeah.
um, three of the plague burst crawlers, and then two units of plague marines in rhinos with the characters in them that give them
Fight
fight
first.
first,
Yeah.
and another one does something else to them as well, doesn't
Is it lethal hits, or is that
he?
the whole?
Ooh,
Can't remember.
no.
Can't remember.
Anyway,
So
yeah.
there's a lot of shooting there at a long range. And did you get across the middle of the table with that beautifully painted green and yellow hoardy monstery list?
I think one Carnifex on two wounds managed to get in combat with a rhino and failed to kill it. The rest of it is literally just gunned down across. I mean, on it.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
nasty.
I'm not taking that.
No, it's nasty, and especially when he uses that Hellbrute ability to reduce your toughness and gives everybody in your army a -1 to their save because
Yeah,
that's
it
one of his.
puts
Isn't
you in
that what he
contagion
does?
range, doesn't it?
Yeah, but doesn't he also have the at the beginning of the game he can choose one of three things?
Yes.
And I
Yeah, that's
think
his contagion abilities, I think. And then the Hellbrute, if it hits you with its shooting, that unit becomes contaged, or whatever you'd say it as.
yeah,
And so even if they're not within X inches of another Death Guard unit, they're still count as being in contagion range. So the
yeah,
Hellbrute hits something first, and the rest of it just lights it up.
yeah.
And it
It's
was,
horrible. It really is horrible. I
yeah,
hate it. And those bloody Predator autocannons do a flat 3 damage as well.
yeah, they're horrible.
Where did
They're
that come from?
really horrible.
Autocannons were always 2
Finally,
wounds.
yeah, well, finally, the humble Predator, has finally got its moment in the sun.
Well, until you overwatch it with a Canoptic Doomstalker. That.
Yeah, or shoot it with eradicators that are deep striking. Or
So,
yeah,
so,
but against
so,
Tyranids, it's awesome.
so this was going okay, but we were having a lovely time, and then we went out again on Saturday. Oh no, Saturday we had food delivered in. So we had a Chinese delivered in the evening, and don't forget we're drinking all the way through the weekend. And enjoying ourselves and having a bit of banter. So on the Friday, we get up, we have another game then. And I'm completely at a loss to remember what I was fighting. I fought Neil in the last game after Craig had gone, but in the morning I must have fought you.
Yeah, I think you fought my Death Watch, didn't you?
Can't remember. I don't think it would
So
have gone well against Deathwatch, to be
we
honest.
tried your Necron vehicle list against my Death Watch singles list.
Oh, that's right. How did it go? I can't remember. Badly.
Um,
I could look
Badly
it up.
for you, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's not.
yeah. It turns out I can kill vehicles quite well with the Death Watch list now.
Which is a bit of a surprise to everybody, I think, to be honest.
Yeah,
Oh no, you've got all
yeah.
those eradicators in it, haven't you?
Well, I tweaked it, you see. So I dropped the Indomitor squad and I put in six. So one of the things I took from the using John Lennon's list was I quite like six Devastator Centurions.
Yeah.
But they only work if you can teleport them around, which you can in the Vanguard and you can in the Death Watch. So I've for ages tried to get them in. So I dropped the Indomitor squad and three Eradicators. So I'd only have 9 Eradicators. And then I put 6 Dev Cents in and an Inquisitorial Henchman squad just to sit at the back and do nothing. But yeah, it's quite. Ooh, I quite like the Devastator sense. Ooh, especially when
Yeah.
you get exploding sixes or lethal hits.
And
Nice.
because they've got such a long range with las cannons and missiles,
Yeah,
you're always going to get a bead on something through the angles, aren't you, when you deep strike them?
yeah, because that's part of the problem with the Eradicators. They can be screened out, or you can just not have anywhere convenient to drop. When you're suddenly looking at 48-inch range, 36-inch off the booby missiles, then suddenly it becomes a lot harder to try and screen out.
Yeah, it does.
And
It does.
they're good. They hit hard. They've got an inbuilt reroll, reroll ones or six, reroll everything if you're on the objective. They're good. Bit
And
pricey though. So if Josh Roberts is listening, maybe you could knock the points down a bit next time.
no, don't listen to him,
Just
Josh. Anyway,
just saying.
the
300
the other,
points would be nice.
but they're also tough. They also have 4 wounds, which is a nice little sweet spot because
Yeah,
it's not
toughness
very
7.
effective shooting 3
Yeah.
damage weapons at them. So
Yeah. Toughness 7, 2 up save, 4 wounds. 300 points, they'd be perfectly priced.
how much are they?
350. So I'm not asking for much off,
Yeah,
just 20%.
yeah. You can. I think you can go and shove that where the sun don't shine, Alex. on the Sunday, Craig. Oh, what are you doing?
Oh, I'm just changing my headphones over.
Oh, on the Sunday, Alex was busy building things. So you built a captain or something, didn't you, while we were playing?
Yeah, I built a couple of things actually. I built a captain to carry my tome of ectoclades, which is quite cool.
It was like bloody Blue Peter. All you needed was sticky black plastic and a clothes hanger, and it would have been just like.
Well, you see, this is the advantage of having an addiction to unpainted models and sprues, is you can open your sprue drawer and go, oh, I happen to have a leftover Gravis body. Oh, I've got a Terminator Captain sword. Oh, I could make a captain here.
Now, in our game that we've just talked about, I seem to remember he was connect. Who was he with? Which unit was he with?
He was with, for you, I think I put him with the aggressors.
Yes, he was nasty
He is nasty.
with his
He
bloody power
punches
fist.
hard. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Slappy
he
killed,
was.
finished off your man, didn't he? Who was he? The Silent King.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Well, it's my fault for putting the Silent Kings that close to those eradicators and the aggressors and everybody else.
Well, you can't stop it, can you? That's part of the problem with your list is you can't screen out very well.
Oh, I don't do any
So if
screening.
someone's deep striking,
I just beat my
nutters
chest and
towards
say,
you.
"Come and get some."
Yeah. And Captain Jack was like, "I'm in."
So yeah,
Swing it away.
so we played that game, and then Craig went home because he had a bit of a drive, and in the afternoon I played Neil again with his revised and updated Death Guard.
God. Yes.
And I'm trying to remember what happened there. I think
Chaos ones.
I think he beat me there. I'm just going to look it up on my ITC.
He did actually, I think. So I seem to
Yeah,
remember thinking Neil's in serious trouble all the way through, and then somehow at the end he pipped it.
he did. It was 83 to 70, so close. But I don't know what happened there. I mean, I've got to say the mech monster list that I've got. It's a SKU list for a team event. It's not really a individual list, but it is so much fun to play. And the expression on people's faces when they say, "Who's got an invulnerable save?" and I point to the entire army and go, "Everybody!" That's worth doing. And then they say, "Do they halve damage?" I go, "Those three do." Oh, right. Have they got to feel no
And they've
pain?
got to feel no pain.
Yes, they have. Do they get wounds back? Yes, they do.
I wonder if they might see a little points increase. I don't know.
I don't think so. I'll tell you, that's why they're not pulling up trees, mate. There's a little bit of internal balance that needs to be done, but I don't think the Necron Codex. I think the Necron Codex is turning out to be really interesting because there are all kinds of different builds that people are using at competitions. Loads of them, totally different, and yet it's not really winning. You might get a third place here and there, but it's not doing a massive amount, which strikes me as the right thing to be, the right place to be.
You'd have to say. I mean, I don't know anything about the new AdMech Codex, but I'd have to say that the three codexes that they've got that I know about, Marines, Nids, and Necrons, they all seem pretty well balanced, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, let's touch humongous amounts of wood in Whisper It, but it seems like they're doing a decent job with getting the codexes right.
Yeah, well, the AdMech seems to have been a little bit disappointing, but you know they
good. I don't like them anyway, so that's
nobody
fine.
likes them. But you the frigging floating tanks ridiculousness.
Oh, they've got that stupid. In fact, they deserve the worst codex in history because they've got the worst model in history, which is that stupid model on stilts. In fact, I just refused to play anyone that had that.
I don't want to rummage around in your bottom. Your trauma at a circus as a young boy is clearly showing through now, and I don't want to get into the clown story or the stilt story. No, stop it now.
Stilts.
We're moving on. So we had a lovely weekend, and then we thought, well, which events are we going to go to? Now, it's not for us. I mean, I was listening to Fireside 40K, and that was David Gaylord and Vic Vijay talking about the different events that they were going to across the year. And they were talking about things like, well, you get more ranking points if you go to this event, or you get... And I'm thinking, well, ranking points have never been a a reason for any of us. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alex. To go to a particular event. Has that ever influenced you?
No. What influenced me is, are my mates going?
Yeah.
There we go. Very simple.
Yeah, and frankly, that's exactly why we're not at Nottingham, because you couldn't be there. So it was hardly worth going without our giant leader of a man.
Oh,
Uh,
is that me?
yeah, that's you.
Oh.
So we decided. Now I'm a bit of an outlier here because There's a 1 day event at Battlefield Birmingham that I'm going to at the end of February, at the beginning of February, and really I'm just going for a bit of fun. It's drivable for me. I'll know a lot of the people there, even though my friends aren't my closest gaming group friends aren't going. But I can drive there, have a 1 dayer, practice with this silly mech monster list, see how it gets on, and if it doesn't work, by the time I get to my next event, I'll be back to the Hypercrypt Legion and trying to work out how to make an individual list. That's the plan. Also, of course, the new data slate is out. When's it out, Alex? Is it this week, this month, this?
It's supposed to be after Vegas, so I've heard. So that's going to be more. It's not going to be this week. Maybe next week. I'm not sure when Vegas is. Towards the end of January. So.
Okay, all right. So that might inform a list if there's any changes, and it might might make some things. But what we did decide to do is we decided, didn't we, that we were going to go in the middle of March to the Battlefield Birmingham 2 day event.
Yeah, we did. We did.
And I think
It's something a bit different, isn't it?
it is, and it's in a nice. We've been before. It's a lovely little venue at Hales Owen College, where they've got their own bistro and decent breakfast. The food's all included for the price, which is something you don't get very much these days. And the last time we went, it was a really good event. That was the one, remember, where the guy told me he was about to die, and if I upset him, he might have a heart attack.
Yeah, no pressure.
He didn't know that I have a reputation for upsetting my opponents, and
Yeah, of all the people, of all the people in that hall. Oh God.
I think he dodged a
Yeah,
bullet, though, didn't he? He dodged a bullet. So,
he's still standing, I think. So.
well, he was when I left him. That's what I told the police. Okay, so we got Battlefield Birmingham, and at the moment, I don't know what list I'll be taking for that. That's the middle of March. Much depends on the balanced data slate and how I get on with my silly mech list. The other advantage of the mech list, it's only about 14 models, so it's really easy to move. I don't have to worry about things.
Good.
And get this, because it's the Canoptic Court, which relies on cryptics and canoptic models, basically. I don't have any cryptics, so there's only three strats I can use, and one of them is rubbish. So actually, I have got no enhancements. I only use 2 strats. How easy is that? I can't forget anything.
Well, I mean, most exciting for me. That means we won't be waiting for you on Saturday evening to finish your game.
Yeah, so it's beginning to become a bit of a habit, that, isn't it?
It is. I'm beginning to have vote on whether to leave you there and just
Go to the bar. Leave me. Go on without me.
I'll only slow you down. Yes, yes, you will.
Okay, so what was the next event after that? Have we got anything in April? I don't think so.
No, we haven't. We've April. What have we got? We got March, May, July. So May's the team event, isn't it? That's the big one.
May's the team event. Yes. Now that's in Nechells in Birmingham. Now I know Nechells to be an interesting area of Birmingham.
Is it rustic?
I've been to this venue once many years ago. My son went, who was about 5'3" at the time. He's now about 5'7". He went to go for a GB basketball qualification event, and I did try and suggest that maybe
Really?
he wasn't kind of built for it, but he went and
Sam.
yeah, and he performed really well, and it was
Okay.
nobody surprised that he didn't get the sponsorship or but anyway, this is the venue, and I know exactly where it is. It's right by Spaghetti Junction. So in terms of access for the country and internationally, because of the airport and the railway station, it's a piece of cake. I think it might be busy. I think it'll be good. It'll just be a complete shark pool. Everybody will be there.
Yeah. Not where we'll be.
Well, we'll be in the
We'll be
bottom 25
floating.
percentile, I think.
I think so. My secret plan is that we do this mech thing. You guys all get pumped, and I get easy games every round,
Well,
and I have a great time.
well, absolutely, because what we decided eventually, because poor old Alex didn't have a mech list that was feasible. His Tyranids got blown off the table by a less than optimal Death Guard army. He won't paint his tanks in time, and I get that. There's loads of them. So we let him take his infantry army. It doesn't go with the theme, but we feel as though that Death Watch list, paired up right, could potentially win the game. If he wins and all the rest of our armies draw, everybody's happy, we go through. That's the plan. So there's no pressure, Alex.
Yeah, thanks. I think I might take the mid list now and just just get drunk all weekend. Oh, you killed most weekend.
You better
This is
not.
great.
You better not, because I think there is. I really think there's something into having 5 skew lists that are all armor, because there's going to be lists that can't deal with that. And don't forget, we only thought we were going to win 2 rounds, so if we win 3, it's a victory. That's the plan. So that's that for the ITT, and then in June, funnily enough, in the same location is the Glasshammer GT, the inaugural Glasshammer GT Super Major, and the end of June.
Yeah, you're doing that with Neil. I'm away, aren't I? I'm in
Yeah, I'm going because
somewhere.
again, it's local. It's half an hour's drive for me, so that's where I'm going to go. But again, that's going to be different because that is WTC terrain and WTC rules, which are slightly different. The terrain would favour your list because it's a lot denser.
Yeah, I'd kind of like to go,
Well,
especially
you
for the
can't fly back
WTC
from
bit.
Marbs,
But
can you? That would be just silly.
that would be silly, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say I'd kind of like to go. I
What?
prefer to
Why
Mountain
don't
Beach,
you? We could
but
set up a camera. If you did all of your games remotely, we could move your models for you.
well, that'd be a good idea.
Perfect.
Oh, hey,
Perfect. That could, and we could play, identical tables there and there. Oh.
no, no, because you guys would be horrible. I'd be like, oh, just move the eradicators here. And you'd be like, here? Do you mean here in the open? But no, no, no. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Whose
no,
side
you'd
do you
be too
think we're
unkind to
on?
me.
Yeah. So that was really funny, Alex. I can just see us now. It would be like the dumbest AIs in the world trying to play snakes and ladders.
Well, I know what you like. Don't you worry.
We know the events we're going to. Oh, and sorry, the final event we're going to is the Sheffield UKTC in
Yeah,
July.
yeah. Not been to the. Is it the first one in Sheffield, or have we just never really taken much
No,
notice
it's a
of it?
new one. It's a new one.
Ah,
Because
but yeah,
yeah, I
we
don't know
go up
where
to
it is.
Sheffield. Uh,
Steel City. That sounds a lot better than it actually is.
yeah, it's up to Sheffield. That's all the old talk up there, isn't it?
Well, I don't know. All I know, isn't it, where Sean Bean
Oh, well,
comes from?
that's how all our trainers talk, anyway.
All your staff
Hey,
talk like that, do they?
hey up,
Hey
all
up,
the
my
ones
love.
from Sheffield do. Want to do some press ups?
Right. So, what your next event then is going to be the 2-day one at Battlefield Birmingham. What are you going to take?
Yeah,
What are you going to
I'm
take? Come on.
taking Death Watch.
And this kind of format, this kind of list you had against me with the captain and his.
Exactly the same list against you.
It's nice.
Subject to any January data slate changes, of course.
You
Caveat,
might.
caveat.
Do you think there's going to be any for Marines?
No, no, probably not. They might try and do something with Death Watch because I happen to know that there is a view that Death Watcher perhaps needs something to happen to them to make them a bit more. I don't even know if it's competitive necessarily. Internal balance. Let's go with internal balance because,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
said at the start, you take Death Watch, but you look at all the Death Watch units, you just go overpriced, underpowered,
Yeah.
useless. Some sort of combination of the three. So it'd be nice to get some flavour in there, but I'm happy with my list.
Well, like you were saying earlier on, what's the point in having a Death Watch Codex if no one takes any of the Death Watch models for it?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so my first one is this Battlefield Birmingham 1-day. I'm going to be taking the vehicle Necron list. I'm just going to see how it works. It might be quite good fun. And then the next one, the one that we'll all go to, I'll either take that if it's more or less worked, or I will try and take a monolith and the Hypocrite Legion again, but I don't know.
Jumpy,
Don't know.
jumpy.
That's the bouncy around list. I tell you what, I did
Yeah.
like in the Hypocrite Legion. I enjoyed using the Triarch Praetorians with their devastating wound pistols because they were quite fun.
They're the blue boys.
Yeah, in my army they are. And if you got again, if the monolith survives, the whole idea of my list, I had in it two tens of flayed ones and the ten Triarch Praetorians and two fives of Lich Guard. The idea was that the Lich Guard would sit on objectives. The other three units can be pulled off, if you like, Alex, because I know you'd like that. They can be pulled off the table and through the monolith for 2 command points, which actually, even if they're in combat or if they lose a model to shooting, is quite a tricksy thing to do. So that was the plan, but unfortunately, don't think I pulled it off, and I think most of that was because I'm really not familiar with that kind of army, and as I said, I think it's a finesse army that you need to know what you're doing, and I'm not that au fait with it. So I think that's got legs.
Just an experience thing, though, isn't it?
It is, and I've played with it once, so what can you do? The other question I have for any listener that might be listening is I've got 3 Catans. I'm thinking of changing one of them for a fella called Illuminor Serras, who isn't
No.
well.
Take 6 Catans, come on.
Do you know what? Mr. Crumblehome sent me his list when I said I was going to take monsters, and it included 6 Catans.
Obviously, because they're very good.
6.
Yeah, do it.
Do you know the funny
Take
thing
it
is
to the one day.
I've actually got them.
Exactly. Do it. Take it to the one day. Go on.
No,
6 Catans.
I'm taking my vehicles
Go on.
because the problem with I'll tell you what the problem with the Catan list is. It doesn't have any decent shooting, and you really need to be shot. You need some shooting.
Who cares? You got 6 gods. Just
Right,
go stand on the objectives and go, come on, baby.
You're completely
Who
mad.
wants some?
You know that. Stop it.
No.
Stop it.
Take 6,
Okay,
take 6,
so
take 6.
anything else you want to share with the listener before we talk about what we're going to be talking about next time?
No, just it's nice to have my little hobby candle re-sparked. And,
Oh yeah, talk
actually
about that for a
get
minute
back
because
into
I know that just before Christmas, you're a little bit down in the dumps about things, weren't you?
Yeah, I wasn't really feeling it. I think we did London, which was really good fun, and then did Birmingham, which was really good fun, and then I just got so stuck into the project at work, building the online stuff that I just had literally no time for any hobby stuff at all, and I just fell out with it really. I didn't do any painting, didn't do any list building, didn't look at Art of War, any of the videos. I mean, I know we played sometimes, and that was a kind of a good break, but it never really, like the hobby side of it, never really. I just really suffered
Yeah.
for a lack of time and this lack of motivation. But yeah, it's back now, which is good.
Good.
That weekend was really good. Us getting
Because
together.
I've missed you, mate, and I don't want you to start dropping off. There's fewer and fewer of us as we get older. We were talking about this, and we ought to have a podcast about what happens to old 40k players.
Well, it's tournaments, isn't it? Yeah, we're doing less tournaments this year, I think, and we're doing our plan of okay, we'll do less tournaments, but stay for the Sunday night. So we have the social on the Sunday because it doesn't really work on the Saturday. So there's not enough time, and you're knackered after 9 hours of gaming. So that's fine. But every time we have our little get together, I just think, why do we?
Yeah, why do we go to tournaments?
Why do
I
we go
agree.
to tournaments? Yeah,
That 50 quid on the tournament ticket could be spent on Estrella.
beer. Yeah, and then it just removed any of the like. You're not gonna have a bad game. Not that you have bad games in tournaments anyway these days because everyone's pretty much there with the sportsmanship. But you're not gonna have games where you're just gonna get pumped, or even if you are, it's like, well, I doesn't care if it's my mate. I'm having a beer. I don't know.
So,
Interesting. I'll be interested to see how I feel after the next tournament. Put it that way, because at the moment, if someone said to me, "We're not doing tournaments anymore. We're just going to have a CSM get together 5 times a year,"
yeah.
I'll be there with bells on.
Well, that makes you wonder. It will tell you a lot about the I was going to say competitive participants of tournaments if the tournament organisers organised an event and said it's not a tournament, it's not even a narrative. It's just a case of come down, we'll randomly draw players and we'll play some games. We'll play 4 games across a weekend for fun. Anybody want, you just come along. I
Yeah,
wonder how many
yeah, that's
people would
interesting
come
actually.
along, to that kind of thing, because I
Yeah,
I worry that the game is becoming so much more competitive where people really care about winning. Whereas in the old days, 99% of players didn't really give a monkeys about winning. It was just the top 1 or 2. Now I think that percentage is creeping up, so people do want to win and do think they care about it. So I'm not
yeah.
sure where it's going to go, but I agree with you. If we could get 8, 10 players in a room and just have a weekend drinking beer, shooting the breeze, and rolling dice, I'd be just as happy as going to a 300 participant super major.
Mm, agreed.
And on that happy note, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you, Alex.
Pleasure. Nice to
I
speak
will.
to you again.
I'm going to see you tomorrow anyway, aren't I?
You are indeed.
Look forward to it. You take care now. So there's a bit of a ramble across a whole range of things there. What did we learn from our little weekend? Well, we learned that some of our lists are good, some of our lists are okay, and we are going to enjoy using skewy lists for the team events, although I'm not sure what I'm going to be using for the individual events yet. What did we learn about Necrons was that Catans are very, very good. But what we also recognise is that Necrons aren't actually pulling up trees at the moment. There's not that many Necron wins. They're good, but they're not OP. We learned that Death Guard Predators plus Contagion work very well. We learned that Aldaria is still really, really good. Really good. And we learned that Alex can't use tanks or monsters. No surprises there. He's back to his little 2-legged infantry grunts bouncing about with Death Watch rules, shooting things. It works for him. It's a tough old list and I like it. Next week, we're going to be talking about what happens to old 40k players. Where do they go? There's a few of us getting older. I don't think the tournament average age is getting much older than it always has been, but I think there's more players, therefore there are more older players, even though they are being replaced by a younger cohort coming through. We talk about arguing about who should book hotels because I did it last time and you did it last time and I did it this time, and why do I have to pay and then get money back off you? That's always an interesting conversation. It's a bit like who pays the bill around a table, or do we just split it all up equally? Well, I only had one coffee, or I had the Jim Beam, all of that stuff. We'll have a bit of a chat about how to sort all that out. And here's a final request for you. Well, not a request. Here's something that you could do is over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to try, I'm going to try and really stretch my IT muscles. I'm going to try and do some Facebook reels. I don't even know what they are, but I'm told I've got to do them. So I'm going to try doing some Facebook reels about subjects close to my heart. I've got 90 seconds apparently, which is about as much as I can concentrate on at any one time. So let's see how that goes. So until we talk again, and don't forget, you can always leave messages for me. Until we talk again, see you on the ice.